What's going on, guys? Astro here with Hidden Profits Crypto. Before we get into today's video, as usual, I want to give a huge thanks to everybody who's been supporting the channel. We got a lot of new subscribers, so if you're new, welcome. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, make sure to do so. We upload 3 times a week. We show a lot of low cap altcoins, hidden gems, and other great projects. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Before we get the video started, I also did want to do a little bit of an announcement for any regular viewers. You guys know I have been uploading every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I find that I run into really not having any content to put out, and instead of forcing content and putting out videos that are just, in my opinion, not up to the expectations that I would prefer to have, we are going to change the upload schedule a little bit. Still going to be 3 videos a week, but it's just going to be throughout the week. That way I can kind of make sure the videos I'm putting out are at the quality and usefulness that I actually want them to be. I don't want to be putting out, you know, half-assed videos. So I just figured I would go ahead and say that before we get into it. But anyways, I'm really excited for today's video, so let's just go ahead and get started. All right, so today we got some pretty huge news for Flux. I'm not going to go into what Flux is. If you don't know what it is, I have done a video first look going into what Flux is as a project. I'll throw that video up on the screen. Go ahead and click on that and check that out, and then come on back. That way you're kind of up to speed so you know what's going on here. So yesterday we got a pretty big announcement that Flux is actually partnering with Nvidia. Now, anybody who's into gaming or even mining, you know how big of a player Nvidia is in the tech space. It's pretty huge, and they do have a partner program called Inception Program. So Flux did this partnership announcement video here, and they kind of just go through it all and talk about everything that's going to be going on. So I figured I would kind of go through and condense the information into kind of the most important highlights, and I put together a PowerPoint presentation for you guys. But before we get into that, I do want to just throw up the little video that they played for the partnership. So let's go ahead and roll that. So really cool, definitely really hyped for this partnership. Now I do suggest that you guys go and actually watch this video if you're really interested, because obviously they go a little bit more in depth than I will here about the partnership. But I figure we should have the most important things in the PowerPoint presentation. So anyways, let's just go ahead and head over there and we'll get into it. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So this is the first time I've ever done a PowerPoint presentation on the channel. So I'm pretty excited about this, and I hope you guys enjoy it. But this is huge news and a giant step forward for Flux. Obviously, Nvidia is a huge player, like we said, in the tech space. So it's definitely going to be a huge step for Flux. So Nvidia Inception, you guys can kind of go and do more research into the actual program itself if you want to, but they kind of sum it up in these three pillars, which is compute, enterprise, and alliance. So compute, this is basically going to give Flux access to Nvidia hardware, which, as you guys know, can be extremely hard to get your hands on anyways. This is also including the Jetsons, which after the halvening, you'll be able to set up for about 5 Flux. Now, I'm not gonna completely go into what Jetsons are and how that works, because honestly, I myself don't fully understand it. But there will be a link in the description to on Nvidia's website that kind of goes more into detail on the Jetson modules, so you guys can check that out if you would like to. But also, the access to this hardware will help Flux actually build out the Web3 the way that they actually envisioned it, which obviously is great, and it introduces them into other enterprise-based networks and infrastructures. So the second pillar is enterprise. So this is going to give access to Nvidia's development team and their leadership, which obviously I'm sure they have a lot of very skilled developers, and it can be quite hard right now to find developers to work on the project, knowing the things that you need them to know. So this is definitely going to help Flux out a lot. This will help them connect with developers and people that they need to get the job done, whatever it may be. So it's also giving them access to the deep learning portal, which all individuals on the Flux project will have access to this, and they can talk to the Nvidia team about multiple subjects like edge computing, AI, rendering, and much, much more, as well as giving them the ability to talk with projects that are already working with Nvidia. So, you can kind of get a lot of insight from these more experienced projects, and they're already, in the game with Nvidia, so that's great. The third pillar is alliance. So obviously, Nvidia being the huge brand that they are, this is going to be, co-marketing and branding of having Nvidia behind the Flux team, which is obviously a pretty big deal for Flux. This is also going to give them the opportunity to talk at Nvidia events. They spoke in the live stream about how they're working with Nvidia to set up these events so they can talk more about Web3, educating how Web3 will come into play, as well as connecting with other Nvidia clientele, which obviously will bring a lot more investors and money into the project, as well, just attention to Flux and Web3 as a whole. So Flux and Nvidia's incubation and acceleration arms will also be working together to help find proper use cases that fit Flux, which I think is great. Obviously, the more use cases you have for your project, the better it does long term. So Flux offering all the services that they do, I'm sure that won't be hard. And then also projects looking to develop on the Flux ecosystem will also have access to Nvidia's infrastructure and VCs as well. So why is this a big deal? Why are we excited about this partnership? Well, not only will it push Flux forward, but it also will help push Web3 more into the tech sector. It's not a huge concept as of right now. Web2 is still pretty much the most dominant thing. So bringing more attention to Web3, I think, will be great just as a whole, not only for Flux, but just cryptocurrency and everything else. So it also gives Flux more accessibility to deep learning and AI, like we said. It will help them flesh out their proof of useful work model that they're working on. I honestly don't know a whole lot about that, but you guys, I'm sure, can find out more about that on their website and everything else. And it also give them access to chip and other hardware manufacturers, which is definitely a big deal right now, because getting your hands on a lot of these chips to make the things you need to make can be kind of a pain in the neck with shortages and everything. So that'll be big there, as well as creating a hybrid symbiotic relationship with legacy systems, aka these companies that are already in Web 2 and the things that they're doing in Web 2, kind of connecting them with the idea of Web 3 as well. So what will Flux be working on with this partnership? So they're going to be working on the proof of useful work, like we talked, to validate the network. Again, if you guys want to look more into that, I would suggest you do your own research. They're also going to be working on educating their 50+ developers that they have on their team. Obviously, having developers that are more prepared and have that education to do what they need to do is obviously a big deal. So that's great as well. I'm sure they'll be adding more developers too, because, you know, just having connections with Nvidia will be, you know, pretty big. So also setting up a portal to help users access the infrastructure. They didn't really go too much into detail about that. But they also spoke of spreading outside the crypto world and into the traditional tech space, which, you know, a lot of these crypto projects, they want to just stay in crypto. And I think that's may not be the best way to exactly go about it. If you do spread outside of the crypto and into these already structured, you know, things in the tech space, it definitely can bring a lot of utility to the project. And then, you know, don't take my word on this. They just mentioned it. They didn't actually even talk about it, but they said something about an AMD partnership possibly. That obviously doesn't have anything to do with the Nvidia partnership, but that could be huge. You have Nvidia and having AMD both at your disposal could be pretty big for Flux. So again, nothing set in stone there. They kind of just moved on when the question was asked. But I figured I'd at least bring it up. So that pretty much wraps up this video. Again, I do suggest you guys go over. I will leave a link to the live stream down in the description so you guys can go check it out. They go more in depth and do AMAs so you guys can kind of hear a little bit more. But I figured for anybody that doesn't want to actually watch the whole video and just kind of wanted to get a more some cliff notes of the information, you know, that this would be beneficial for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm definitely excited to see what this does for Flux, not only just for the project as a whole, but for the price. I believe the price is sitting at around like $2.70 to 80 cents. It did have quite a big jump up because of this announcement, obviously. But we'll just really have to see what it does for the price in the long term. I do think it'll be huge. And like I said, bringing more of those Web 2 companies and other things into this space and onto the project will be great for it in the future. So we really just have to see how it plays out, but definitely excited for Flux on this one. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a comment down below letting me know what you think about the partnership and if you guys are excited about it. That's going to wrap it up. I will see you guys later, and until then, peace.